Hello, and welcome back to the Calm and Connected podcast. I'm your host, Janine Halloran, and today I wanted to talk to you about a strategy that I like to use with kids to really help them understand where they do have control and where they don't have control in their lives. So this is really about having kids understand what they do have some ownership of, what they do have some power over in their lives versus what they don't really have power over in their lives, and being able to help them figure out what they can do and be empowered to do the things that they need to do where they do have some control. So I've been talking about and using this strategy for a long time. And truthfully, the first time I heard about the strategy was when I was in therapy as a teenager. And I remember when my own therapist shared it with me, and I found it really helpful to understand that there were things that I had control of in my life, and there were things that I didn't have control of in my life. And to recognize that you really don't have control over other people and their behavior and their actions was a really big eye opener for me as a teenager. And it's really been helpful throughout my life to really have that lens of thinking through things. And I continue to share the strategy with my clients. I actually even shared it a couple weeks ago with one of my clients. And I shared it also when I did a speaking engagement for Learning in the Brain in Boston back in late 2021. And one of the attendees actually came up to me afterwards and she said it shifted her whole point of view. And so I just wanted to let you know, this is a really powerful lesson. It can be really helpful to just change your thinking about the areas of your life where you do have control, the areas of your life where you don't have control, and being able to grow into the power of using what you can control, taking ownership of what you can control. So when I speak with kids about things that they don't have control over, I mention things, I give them examples like you can't control the weather, you can't control parents divorcing, you can't control whether school is opened or closed, you can't control pop quizzes, you can't control family members being sick. I just like to give them a lot of different things that they really don't have any control over. And then after I do that, I talk about what they do have control over, which really comes down to they have control over their actions. They have control over their behavior. They have control over their feelings and how they manage them. So while it's a little bit challenging sometimes for kids to start to recognize how little control they have, it is also empowering at the same time to be able to help them focus on the things that they do have control over. And sometimes, depending on the client and their age, and I get a little bit more nuanced in the conversation, because that's where I talk about where you and your behaviors can influence other people. So while your other people's behavior is not in your control, you can't control how somebody is reacting to you. But you could potentially have an influence on it. And so sometimes I will actually even say the phrase, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, to really help them understand, if you are acting in a particular way, in a positive way, in a pleasant way, it's more likely that people may react in a way that is more pleasant to you, versus if you are reacting in a negative way, showing negative sort of things out, putting negative energy out into the world, you may get some negative energy back, and it may be harder for you to get the things that you'd like. So I often actually talk about this and use visuals as I'm having this conversation, because sometimes, kids need some visuals, kids need some structure around how we have these conversations. So in the Coping Skills for Teens workbook, there's actually a visual that has like some shapes where there's a tinier circle where you do have control, and a bigger sort of circle shape where they may not have as much control. They don't have control. So I have used that visual, and I like being able to show that as a starting off point for, okay, let's have a conversation. These are some things you can't control. Can you think of some other things that you can't control? And we will write them in. And actually in the Coping Skills for Kids workbook, there's actually a list. So it's just a couple of big rectangular boxes that are there. where you can actually write in, these are things that you do not have control over, and these are things you do have control over. So I love that strategy. Like I said, it's a really powerful one. It's worked for me. I've seen it work for clients, and it continues to resonate with other people when I'm giving speaking engagements. And it was just really neat to see throughout the years how much people have responded so well to having a conversation about what they can control versus what they can't control, and feeling empowered to do something about the things that they can control, and giving them the permission to be able to say, I am in control of my actions. I am in control of my behaviors. I am in control of my feelings and how I respond. So it's really, it's a cool strategy. And I hope that you give it a try with one of your clients. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize and celebrate the fact that this is the 100th episode of the Calm and Connected podcast. It's hard to believe that I'm finally at 100 episodes. I never thought I would actually get here. And the show has changed over time. I've enjoyed speaking with different experts and doing interviews over the last year or so, and sharing our conversations with you. And I will continue to do that. And I will continue to also have solo episodes as well. So I'm looking forward to continuing with the Calm and Connected podcast. And if there are any topics you want me to discuss or any people you'd like me to interview, feel free to reach out and let me know. If you like this podcast, please feel free to share it or let other people know about it. And it's really helpful just because that's how the podcast continues to grow and spread. And as always, don't forget about yourself. Take a few minutes, have a little fun, and have an awesome day.